What is going on, YouTube? This is Mark Bernacki coming to you guys, and I want to start putting more videos on here for a few different reasons. But first of all, for anyone that follows me, my Instagram got shut down about, I don't know, a month and a half ago. So I have a backup page up and running. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to continuously put a bunch of content onto the platform if just like that, my account's going to go away. So we're transitioning to YouTube for the time being, and we're going to jump right into today's video. This is really the book that changed my life and why. And I just want to share with you guys the importance of books and everything like that, because for me personally, I had to go through a massive personal development journey. It was one of the best things that I did probably in my, we'll call it my mid 20s or so. I heard a quote once that they said, you become the average of the people that you spend the most time with and the books that you read and the people you associate with. So that was something that I had to really internalize and take seriously. So I read a bunch of different books, anything from psychology to sales to marketing to leadership. I don't know, pretty much anything you can think of at that point. And it really helped build a lot of strong character traits and things like that that I have to this day. So I'm very grateful for that. But there's one book in particular that really helped me in terms of changing my philosophy. And I'll say it changed my life because up to this point, I had always thought that success and certain things happen just as a byproduct of, I don't know, maybe being at the right place at the right time, being lucky. And I never realized it was about your habits and what you do on a daily basis that actually determine where you end up in life, right? And there's a quote by Jim Rohn, and I'm going to get to the book in a second, but there's also a quote by Jim Rohn where he said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced over time, right, repeated daily, and failure is nothing more than a few small errors in judgment repeated over time as well. So the book that really drove that home for me was The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And what this book really boils down to is, I would say, taking an analysis of your daily habits and how they will either lead you towards success or on that curve towards failure. And success and failure is obviously subjective based on the field of endeavor. However, that was what the first time it opened up my mind to, was like, okay, it really comes down to your philosophy and your lifestyle on how you do certain things. So let me break it down for you for what he said in the book. You could take, finance and fitness. Those are probably the two main areas that people focus on in particular when you think of success, your health. But let's just say you have person A and person B. Person A, right, they practice a few simple disciplines every single day. So it could be something like eating chicken and broccoli, right, drinking water, and going for a walk, maybe for an hour a day. Now he breaks it down. He's like, that is really nothing crazy if you think about it. Instead of having sugary drinks or things like that, you're just basically replacing that with something that's 0 calories and will nourish your body and hydrate you. And then also, right, you're eating clean and you're going for a quick walk. And he's like, literally anybody can do that. It takes no gym membership or anything like that. But he says, on the other side, let's say you have another person and they decide that they don't want to drink water. They want to have, I don't know, soda or something like that, or juice. And then they don't eat clean, right? They eat maybe a fried meal or whatever the case may be, or I don't know, something that's not going to serve them, right? We all could pinpoint that. And then lastly is that they fail to go on that walk every single day. Now, over the course of a day, does that make a difference? No. Over the course of a week, does it make a difference? Not really. Over the course of a month, does it make a difference? Maybe a little bit, but you really don't see the compounding nature of that until maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years. And then when you look back and you say, well, what did the difference? It was just really those three simple decisions that you either executed or that you failed to execute, right? So with that being said, it changed my mindset on, okay, I need to have better habits. And that's really like the whole outlook on things for me that changed. And it was the same thing about creating wealth. I would think about that for a while, where you would say, okay, creating wealth is pretty simple. right? It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. The simple philosophy is this, all right, is that you invest more than you spend. That's it, right? You make more than you spend and you invest the difference. So he breaks that down as well, where it's like if you have two people that maybe set aside $1,000 a month into an index fund and you don't do that, what that looks like over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 40 years. And you really start to realize, like, wow, it really just comes down to being extremely disciplined and having the right habits. So my suggestion, my recommendation would be, guys, get that book. I don't make a single dime off of that. I'm just sharing with you something that really changed my mindset, because it went from taking my mentality that success is something that happens to you, as it being more or less success is a byproduct of the actions that you take on a daily basis. So if you don't know where to begin, if you don't know where to start, I would recommend that book. There's two others that are kind of like a variation of it, that are probably more popular than that book. But the other one is called The Compound Effect, and that is by Darren Hardy. Right? He talks about the same kind of deals, the same type of deal in philosophy around that. And then also, the more popular, I'd say probably the most popular of all of them, is Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he talks about that really at the highest level. And not only the awareness of habits, but also how to go about doing those things. So that would just be a personal recommendation. Focus on changing your daily habits, your routine, and your actions and your philosophy, because that will ultimately, years down the line, put you in a spot where you're getting closer to the life of your dreams, or you're continuously putting them off. Share this with a friend if you guys want. Drop in the comments, and I will share with you some of my personal favorites on all the things as well when it comes to books for personal development. Thanks so much. Take care. God bless.